Yo! Welcome back to David Without Borders, the channel where we explore off the beaten track locations. In this vlog we are in Tallinn, Estonia's fairy tale capital, a city shaped by centuries of foreign empires and much darker recent past. Now, Estonia is often described as one of the most digital societies in the world, so as we explore the medieval streets of this city, I want to see what does it actually feel like on the ground. And at the same time, this country was part of the Soviet Union not that long ago, so how much of that past is still here? Can you still see it today? Let's find out.
Older medieval style buildings, so good mix of both of them so far. So where the modern meets the older medieval style. Yeah, actually I just see over here, interesting, so there's an Estonia flag on this building and the NATO flag. I wonder what that building actually is. It's very interesting. This seems to be the part of the town with all the embassies, because there's an Azerbaijan flag on the building over there, Ukrainian flag and European flag on this building. This is the first kind of nice standout building that I've come across here anyway. Looks like it's the Opera House, and I don't know what it is, but there's always just a sense that the architecture is so different in like Western Europe and kind of probably the Baltic region than if you were in Ireland or the UK. The architecture is very different, and it's always nice for me to see the different style of architecture, but still very classic. Actually, it's probably not the Soviet system, it's probably predates that, which are really nice. The guy over my left shoulder is Tamsar. He's a Estonian novelist, and I actually think there was a bit of objection to his statue at the start because he was part of the bourgeois society, and when this place was under communist rule, they weren't too fond of that class of people. But yeah, interesting. I didn't know that, and I certainly didn't know that guy, Tamsar. That's the opera building from the back of the building. I don't know if that's because of the wind or what, but it's not great to see because they're very useful. Might even go on one later on, but yeah, it's probably because of the wind. There is a strong wind pushing down here, so we won't blame that on anyone in particular. Okay, so I'm going to cross the road here, and we should be nearly in the old town then, I believe. Okay, so you can see the remnants of like an old castle or something, and there's a man dressed as a parrot here. Hello. No thank you. Nice flowers. Hello. Hello. Fortunately, I don't know the Estonian language. Look at these. It's a really nice building. These are clothes sellers. Hello.
Hello.
Do you have gloves?
Gloves
Gloves for men?
for men.
Not leather? This is leather. No, not leather? Just like wool or cotton? I think maybe these are for women.
These are more for women. What
Yeah.
for men is this.
Oh, okay.
It's this.
Ah, yeah. Do you take card?
You can, yes.
You take Visa?
Yes.
Okay. I'll take.
There.
Can I just try? Okay. Thank you.
It is 10.
Okay. Thank you. How do you say thank you in Estonian?
Estonian tänan.
Tänan. Tänan. Tänan. Then have a good day. So I decided to go get myself some gloves because I'm going to be on a bike later on, and my hands are already really cold. It's nice and dry here, but it's absolutely the wind is whipping. So I got some gloves. They were €10, but hopefully they'll save my hands over the next few days in this cold country. So just bits and pieces of the medieval city just popping up just about everywhere. That must have been some sort of a watchtower or something. And you can see the windows at the very top, which is the perfect vantage point to see people coming from far away. And this is actually fairly interesting architecture style, not too dissimilar from kind of Poland or Prague, although I've never been to Prague, but I've seen pictures. It looks kind of like an amalgamation of a few different styles, but of course then the really medieval side to it as well, which is very cool. I always think it's just so nice when you come to a different country and it looks so different to yours. And I think that's the idea of why it's so fun. I mean, look, this street is so nice and it's like nothing you'd ever see in Ireland. And it's the different colours, the different flags, and still got its kind of gritty urban feel, while it's also embracing its past. You can see the side of this building is clearly really old, and there's like the defensive mechanism of the medieval town again, with like the round tower that they can that probably soldiers back in the 13 and 1400s would have looked at from miles away. But yeah, super cool. It's right up there. It's not like anything you'd really see anywhere in the world other than this part of Europe. That looks a bit out of place on these old streets. Not sure I love the colour. Yeah. Lots of Porsches around the place. Cool to see. So I'm at the back of a big church here. Let's go around to the front and we can have a look at it and inspect what type of church it is. Yeah, really nice streets and facades to the houses, and even down here it's probably like more of a residential area by the looks of it, but still really nice facades, really well kept, and it's absolutely spotless. There's no litter, rubbish, nowhere, which is always an added bonus to see. Okay, maybe this is like the first sign of some maybe homeless people around, which I haven't seen any homeless people on the streets so far, which is different to what it's been like in Ireland, or especially Dublin at the moment. But look, we got a good view here. You have the industrial side of the town, the medieval side of the town, and you can't really see the modern side, but I feel like it's over this way. Yeah, got a bit of everything here. I think I'm just going to walk over to this side of the park over here and have a look at what the vantage point is from there. Yeah, nice first impression so far. I'm not seeing the whole really digital thing yet, but I mean, the lady that I bought the gloves off had a card machine, so maybe that's a plus. But I think in most places in Europe, people in stalls, even now, even homeless people, some of them have tap machines. So yeah, remains to be seen, but early days yet. Playground and skate park, and really I thought there was going to be something else up here. I'm not sure what I thought, but I wasn't expecting a playground. What I find interesting is actually that there's no flowers on these trees yet. Are they pine trees or are they deciduous trees? But yeah, it's March and there's no like even seeds or anything, or really much greenery at all around, probably because it's just still too cold here at this time of year. But yeah, anyone able to tell me what's going on with that? All this area has been converted into like some sort of park that's now used for skateboarders and BMX riders, and probably a bit of people doing tricks and stuff like that, because you can see the ramps here and the steps, and even the ramps coming down the hill here. This is cool. Look, there's actually concrete table tennis things there. It's probably better during the summer, but it's a good thought nonetheless, I think. Good initiative by the government. So I'm kind of just down here by the train station, but there's like, I don't know if this is, it looks to me like it's man-made, but it's like a waterway around the old town, which is up there on the hill you can see, and this is kind of the other side of the town. It's a bit more modern. The train station is here, the more utilitarian side of the city, I suppose. Got your transport hubs. But this, I don't know when it was built. It's actually interesting if it was from the medieval times, because it's probably what was a moat back in the day. But it's interesting to see here, and if anyone knows anything more about this, I'd like to hear about it, when it was actually built, and does it actually date back a long time ago? Okay, let's see how, is this wood rotten or not? It doesn't feel great, to be honest. But also you can just see here across the waterway, look how well preserved the old medieval walls are. Like, they're dating back to the 14 and 1500s here in Estonia, and inside that then you can see the newer kind of church or bell tower of sorts, and over here again you can see an older kind of medieval building again. So there's a lot of layers of history just up there, which is interesting. And just looking at this waterway, like there's, I think that's some sort of seaweed, but it's not nice. Maybe it's actually, could be ice actually. I think it might be ice. It's ice. Because I was wondering what that was, how the ducks were walking on top of it. But I think it's ice frozen on top of seaweed. Cool. So I want to get up there now. Where I'm going is I'm going to try and get up to these walls up here and have a look down there. So I'm going to have to climb up these steps up here and try and find some way to get up there. I think I can see people over there, so I'm not sure. I could probably walk around the back there and aim for that church. That is. But yeah, and then we'll have a look out across here and see what the view is like from up there. Should give us a good vantage point over these trees. This is the medieval wall. So this has been here for hundreds of years, and we're making our way up. Bit of a global reach up here with a Canadian flag. Maybe that's, I don't think it's the embassy, because there's not much security around it, it seems. Or is it? Yeah, it is the Embassy of Canada. It's cool, nice building. Hello. Hello. How are you? Hello. Hello. Yeah, so we've reached our vantage point now. And let's have a look what it's like outside there. Mr. Seagull. Bishop's Gate Park here at the top of Tumpe Hill, and you can see the AstroTurf pitch and things below me. But up here is where all of the rich merchants, or well, not merchants, the rich people would have lived during the medieval times inside these walls of the medieval part of the town. But out there is where the merchants and the poorer class would live, and you can see that up here you have the good vantage point. And actually a lot of places that I've been over the last while now, including Gibraltar and Quetta, you've noticed how the highland part of the town or city has been used as the vantage point or the defensive mechanism for the town. And I don't know if you can make it out on the camera, but just out there you can see the actual Baltic Sea. So this would have been the vantage point for people defending the city from the oncoming, I suppose, maybe back in the day, the Vikings coming from that side of Scandinavia, from Finland, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, all them sorts of places. They would have entered via that sea up there, the Baltic Sea. You can also see in the background here plenty of stacks of chimneys, and it just shows the kind of industrial side of Tallinn as well. And down here is the train station. So there's the modern with the old. But yeah, Tumpe Hill, this is where this would have holded all the rich people at court, and it's where they would have done their trading up here. So yeah, very cool, good vantage point. It's the Alexandar Nevsky Cathedral. Let's have a look inside maybe. So behind me is the Alexandar Nevsky Cathedral here in the centre of Tallinn, and you can see the not so regular onion domed top of the church here, which is more reminiscent of maybe like St. Basil's Cathedral in the Russian capital Moscow. But this is a Russian Orthodox church, or an Eastern Orthodox church. And it's not, I think I read online that Estonia is actually one of the most secular places in countries in Europe. So actually this here is probably a bit of a, I don't know if it's very popular with locals or not. I asked the man inside, and I think I heard all the people working there speaking Russian, which obviously isn't the national language here. But the man inside said that they have mass there every morning and every evening, and what I found strange was there was no seats inside. That he said that everyone stands during mass, so I'm not sure if this is normal for Orthodox Christianity, but most churches that I go to anyway as a Catholic, they would have seating arrangements. But yeah, it's really nice, like it's got the domes, but they're not very they wouldn't be the same as a Catholic church. Well, the shaped dome wouldn't be the same, and obviously you have the different kind of cross as well, with the small slant to the bottom, and then the top bit as well with the extra smaller crucifix. But yeah, this is a nice part of town. You have the Parliament building here as well, Parliament of Estonia. It's a very nice part of town. It actually just popped into my head as well here. So you have the symbol of national identity here, and the Ukrainian flag just stuck up here, but this is probably more reminiscent of farmer identity. So this would have been built during the Russian occupation of Estonia, but not, so there was the Soviet occupation from like the 1940s to the 1990s, but before the 1910s, I believe, the city or the country was occupied by the Russians. So this would have been built in that time. So yeah, that's interesting that you have these two identities facing each other, and actually what's interesting is the Ukrainian flag displayed as well on this building, which is kind of in the face of the Russian identity. But yeah, that's probably my cue to move. And there it is, Herman's Tower, and there is the Estonian flag flying proudly there since the 1990s. Impressions of Estonia is that it is very safe, it's very clean. There's been no homeless people, no people begging for money. It doesn't look like there's many drug addicts out in the open. In terms of digital footprint, I'm not really seeing that so far as just a pedestrian or even in the shops or interacting with people. I'm not seeing the big digital push as opposed to other European cities. And the medieval side of the city, it is really nice. It is like a fairy tale. So yeah, definitely the old part of the town is nice. It's definitely hammered home its selling point. But for the afternoon, we're going to switch it up. We're going to take a different direction, and we're going to head to a different part of Estonia's past and see if the Soviet fingertips are still in place. But first, I'm going to get a drink and maybe something small to eat, just to carry me through, get a bit of energy. So this looks like a symbol of independence or something. There's a lot of Estonian flags, and the 25th of the 3rd, 1949 is actually what those guys are putting lights up as down there. But yeah, this must be some celebration coming up soon, I think. So this is like the town's centre, big wide open space, and lined on either side of with nice colourful buildings here. Again, similar to the facades that I mentioned earlier, and it looks like pubs, restaurants on either side. Some cafes as well. Nice. It's like it really is like a Disney village or a fairy tale village in and around here. Hello. Can I get cinnamon bun?
Cinnamon, yeah.
Can I get a cinnamon bun and double espresso, please?
Sure. In a house or to go?
Sorry?
To go or in a house?
In here, please.
Yeah, sure.
Take a break from the cold. €7.20. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. So this must be the Russian embassy. Ukraine needs tanks. Wow. I'm not sure if it is the Russian embassy or not, I don't know. But plenty of stuff outside here. Jesus. This thing about Navalny, 4 years of war. Plenty of stuff here against the Russians. Very interesting. Okay, right, I think we're good to go. So I was actually over there earlier, and I need to get over there because that is where Linnahall is, Linnahall. So let's see if we can get over here now. So, after my 2-minute bolt ride here, I thought it was way further away. I would have walked if I knew it was so close, but then again, I'm probably moving about 5 times faster on the bike. But this is Linnahall. If you may or may not be able to tell by now, this is a Soviet project, and in keeping with the theme, it has this blocky, brutalist, utilitarian type of architecture style. Grey and very different from the old town. So the walls have been reclaimed by the street artists here, and it looks quite cool. Really kind of urban decay, urbex type of project here now, and it's got that cool type of canvas that street artists love to use. Let's have a look over here. Look at these cool drawings. It's like an Asian man smoking something. Looks like an hallucinogen with the cool colours. But over here you have what must be a cosmonaut with the CCP on it. Maybe Gagarin. If you remember from my Moldova vlog, we saw the big mural of Gagarin, and maybe that's the Vostok 1 behind. It's cool, and look, more effigies of rockets and probably like a young Soviet kid there. But yeah, this is very cool. So obviously that's the Baltic Sea, and for anyone that doesn't know, Tallinn is obviously a city on the Baltic coastline, and it's a big destination for Baltic cruises. You can see the ships here in the background. People probably spend a day or two here exploring the city on one of these stops, and it probably stops off in Helsinki and maybe Stockholm as well. But yeah, I doubt this is probably on their calling card when they visit Tallinn. But for me, that's someone that's interested in kind of this sort of stuff. It's heaven. There's people down there training on the beach, and that must be fucking cold. I'd say that water must be, if it's higher than 0 degrees, that's mental. Or well, it would be higher than 0 degrees, but look, there's people training down there, and it looks like there's down there as well. So that's a big part of Nordic culture, so I'm not surprised either to see them down there. So I wonder if this was the entrance. It's a bit different to the other side, but yeah, you can see this kind of, the doorway is there, steps down into it. There's kind of this glass or Pyrex kind of facade. It's really cool. I'm not sure what this is, but this was supposed to be a sports complex, but I don't think it was ever really used. So it would have been a multi-functioning sports arena, and obviously it was built in Soviet times, but like a lot of things from the Soviet times, you know, they just went into disrepair once countries gained their independence. They didn't want much to do with stuff that reminded them of the Soviet Union, which is completely fair. Okay, so I don't really know what this big circular concrete slab is for. So if anyone that's a seaman or seagoer or just generally knows what this big round circular slab is for. Is it for form or for berthing ships or something like? I don't know. So anyone that's watching the video, if you want to let me know what this slab is for, I would be so grateful. So we're about to leave Linnahall, which is the Soviet sports complex that I've just been showing you, and we're on to somewhere else. So the fingertips of the Soviets still remain, but they're definitely trying to be forgotten. So let's move on. So heading down here by the actual sea coast and where the cruises come in from. So this is where the cruise ships dock. Look, you can see a cruise ship just up here. stopped up here because it's the entrance to the port. And that's cool. You can see all the lorries just parked inside, and you can see there's actually a cruise ship being reversing out of the harbour or the port there. It's quite cool. And this is the entrance or exit, I'm not sure which. This thing has a fucking mind of its own. So, but another thing here that I saw that was quite cool is there's a running track down here just on the water's front, so people can do some sprinting up and down there, which is quite cool. Have you caught any fish? Nothing? Oh. All bits of ship, that's quite cool. All bits of shipwrecks and parts of big boats. So I knew Tallinn was on the coast, but I didn't realise it actually had so many kind of nice little beaches. It looks good for people to swim there, but again, I don't know the quality of the water. With a lot of cruise ships around, it might not be the best. But yeah, really nice trees on the beach, place to sit. Yeah, it's really nice, and the promenade here is really nice as well. So I just stopped a bit further up. Now you can see the ship is coming out. You can see the spires from the castles in the old town, and not the castles, the churches. We're heading over there. There's a small little spire just sticking up there, and that's where we're heading. But you have really, really well built up area here. There's a playground for kids, there's swings, there's like the outdoor gym equipment just up there, and there's really good cycling paths and running paths up here. I could imagine if I lived here, this is a place that I'd probably love to go and do my runs and even swimming, Jesus. But I did see a sign back there for no swimming, so maybe it's not the cleanest water or something. For like just 2 kilometers now, there's just been non-stop stuff for kids to keep them active and fun. It's really good. You'd wonder how it lasts in such a harsh climate, but I'm sure they've that figured out. Very cool. This is unbelievable. So this must be some sort of national stadium of some sort. There's just piles of ice here. I wonder what stuff they host here. It could be concerts and stuff. These hills look, they might give a good vantage point, and I veered off my path a bit to see what this was, and it's quite cool. Let's go up to the top. Let's see what the electric power will do for me up the hill. So I'm up at the top of the hill after that. Pull up there. The electric bike doesn't actually pedal that hard up hills, but it must be some sort of hosting venue because the stadium is pointing up this way. I think that's really cool though, the way that the statue is actually facing down that way. I would be interested to know if anyone knows what the purpose of this stadium is. I kind of want to refrain from going on my phone as much. I just want to kind of take it in as I see it. But yeah, does anyone know what the stadium is for before I go check Google? It's cool. just down there to my left, it sounds like there's some sort of ceremony going on. Not quite sure what it's for, what it's remembering. The actual black wall that I just showed you in the last clip, that is a commemoration to the struggles that the Estonians suffered under the Soviet regime from 1940s up to the 1990s when they got their independence. And you must presume maybe that ceremony down there is maybe commemorating that. They did, a lot of the people at it look like they have kind of religious headpieces of sorts, or maybe they're just traditional cultural Estonian hats of some sort, but yeah, I'm just speculating there, I don't really know. It's interesting, here you have the German soldiers graveyard, you have the ceremonial commemoration to the lives lost and the atrocities under the Soviet regime, and then you have the actual Soviet oblast, or not oblast, but obelisk over there, which is quite interesting to see such a layers of history just in the one spot, and they all face each other. And I suppose that was probably in the architect's mind, but for someone like me, it's interesting to kind of think about these things and why things are placed in certain areas. And as much as I liked the old town, this is kind of far more interesting for me to see and to learn about. And you have, this is kind of kept quite well, but you can just see that there's no upkeep being done to the Soviet obelisk, but it's not being torn down either, it's just being left. And it's interesting, it's very, very interesting. And for anyone that's watched my previous videos, what do you think of the architecture here in Estonia? Do you think some of the places that you've seen as I've been cycling the bike or just walking around, do you think there's a lot of Soviet architecture around here? Or do you think that Moldova and you're never going to see the Armenia and Georgia files, but I was there, but do you think that maybe compared to Moldova that this doesn't look as Soviet, or that they've erased a lot of their Soviet architecture? So this is a nice vantage point here of the graveyard, the communist commemoration, the Soviet obelisk, and the winds whipping. You've kind of got the Soviet stuff down here as well. But yeah, just the difference in architecture styles from here to the medieval city is stark. The medieval city is really pretty, it's really well kept, and the Estonians are proud of that, because that's a national identity that they have, that they're proud of. They've kept it up, and you look at some of the stuff that the Soviets built and it's just completely forgotten about. It's dilapidated, it's ugly, it's big, it's brute, and they just don't care about it anymore here. They want to forget about it. They're not interested in keeping it up to date. And I suppose that's why a lot of the street arts in places like Linnahall and this area are see this as a free hit. And now the ceremony must be over because all the people are leaving. So it was actually kind of cool that I caught that, or got here at this time, because it's interesting to see these ceremonies that take place, particularly these former Soviet countries, or these countries with a big military past. We don't have that in Ireland all that much, but maybe one of them is the annual kind of thing for celebration for the 1916 Rising. My trusty steed is still here, so let's get this unlocked, and we've one more place to go before it's kind of winding down time for this video, and off we go. Where I am right now is the apartment blocks of the Lasnamae district of Tallinn. It's the most densely populated area of Tallinn, and all around me you will see these Soviet style apartment blocks from the 80s in Estonia. Okay, so this is characteristic. Now the weather's after getting quite crap, and we're going to take a cycle through the neighbourhood, and we're going to have a look at some of these old style apartment blocks with hundreds of thousands of people living in this district alone. It's by far the most densely populated area of Tallinn. So let's have a look at the boulevards that are lined with these apartment blocks, and we might even cruise into some of the estates. So here you go, the Lasnamae district. So here we are in Lasnamae. Someone correct me on that pronunciation. Obviously a fluent speaker, so give me a hand. Here we have, lined either side, these apartment blocks. Let's have a look down here, see what they're like up close. So they have that real kind of 70s, 80s vibes of Soviet, just pull a lot of the workers, and now they're utilised by a vast population of the Tallinn community. So here we're deep in actually the apartment blocks, and you get a good feel for what it's actually like here. You might actually be able to hear my Google Maps like going crazy there, but I'm just going kind of off script. I'm just cruising around here so that you can get to see some of these apartment blocks here on either side, with just probably thousands of people living here in this very kind of congested area of Tallinn, but no doubt happy communities. So on the right you can see the more kind of the more boring style of one, more boring style apartment block. On the left you've got a bit of colour at least, but yeah, they don't look like there'd be much room inside each apartment really, to be honest. I've just been on the bike there for quite a while, but I just knocked across these kind of nice gardens. I don't know, is it like some palace or what, but yeah, a nice colourful building here. And just up there I drove through kind of the pathway down, and there was two armed guards standing outside of the actual building itself. So I wonder if it's is it a royal family or a president or something that needs to be guarded by the military outside, but yeah. So that's what I was at the front of the gardens. Just drove down the street here a small bit, and there it is. That's quite cool. These houses on either side, they're really nice. It's what I imagine that typical Estonian kind of upper class probably would have lived like, and even though some of them are quite run down looking, they're still really nice. Or maybe that's just left there for the effect. Quite possibly these might be guest houses or maybe embassy houses is what I would be thinking. They're always in a nice part of the town. I'm back in the downtown area of Tallinn after my bike. My trusty steed is over there. But I think the building that drew me to this area was this one here, because I could see the star up in the sky from far back, the Soviet star that is, and it's just contrasting the skyscrapers that are around here. So this is probably the CBD of Tallinn, but I've noticed everywhere that there's a Soviet piece of infrastructure, there's also like a modern or a medieval piece of infrastructure staring it right in the face and providing that contrast as to how the Estonians would like to be viewed. On this side you have the modern 21st century Estonia that's embraced digitalization and European identity. On this side you have the fragments of the Soviet Union staring it right in the face, and you have these towering above it. Down where we saw the obelisk, there was the communist kind of effigy that was behind it, or not effigy, but there was the communist memoriam that was behind it, that was remembering all of those who lost their lives at the hands of the Soviet regime, and that really stood in the face of that obelisk and what it represented. And then you have the old town, that's like what Estonia really is and what Estonia was before anyone came and tried to rule it. And Estonia has been a country that has suffered at the hands of bigger colonial powers throughout its history. Russia and the Soviet Union, the Germans, so many people have tried to take them over. And as of the 21st century, they're standing here independent. So yeah, big up to the Estonians. And Tallinn has certainly been a very cool city to go and visit. And one more thing, for anyone that's made it this far in the video, thank you very much. And I want to ask you, if you liked this video, please subscribe. It would mean a lot to me. I'm trying to build my subscriber base. And also leave a comment. I've asked a few questions because I'm not overly sure on some of the parts of the video or what certain things were. But please, yeah, fill me in if you know what they are. No doubt that there's a lot more educated people than me going to be watching this video. So thanks very much. I'm David Without Borders, and tune in next time for another video as we head east in Estonia.